We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, April 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and great to have you with us on News Generation. Joining us today is Park Hyun.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, and Grace Park.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. As usual, we're going to begin with our keyword news. Our keyword for today is ChatGPT. Now, over the past few days, your feed may have been flooded with whimsical images in the style of Japanese animation studios, like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. These dreamy Studio Ghibli-style illustrations were generated using ChatGPT's newest image generation tool, part of the latest GPT-4o update. According to OpenAI, this model has been trained on a wide range of visual styles and is capable of creating high-quality still images and even short videos inspired by popular animation aesthetics such as Ghibli, Disney, Pixar, and The Simpsons, to name a few. Now, with this update going viral, ChatGPT reportedly reached a new milestone in Korea, hitting over 1.2 million daily users. So Grace, have you also tried making these fun images yourself?
I actually did over the weekend. So me and a couple of my friends, we decided to take a picture and test it out. So yeah, we sent the picture into ChatGPT, asked it to turn it into the Studio Ghibli style that's been trending these days. And yeah, I actually liked it. It was whimsical, like you mentioned, and it was really accurate too, because we were on this little staircase. We had a sign behind us, and it actually recreated the exact sign, the exact stairway, like it even recreated the bracelet on my wrist. Like, it was really accurate. So yeah, it was both amazing and frightening at the same time how good AI is getting at making content like this, since it was always said that the one thing AI couldn't do was be creative, at least to the extent of human beings.
Right, but we're now seeing artificial intelligence getting more creative, which is stunning and also, as you mentioned, fearful at the same time. So once again, while these images are visually very stunning and fun to share, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman recently commented that the demand for these AI-generated images has been so high, it is melting GPUs, highlighting how much computing power artificial intelligence requires. And at the same time, concerns around copyright and intellectual property are once again bubbling to the surface. So Kyun, could you tell us what exactly are these concerns?
Before I talk about the concerns, Sam Altman wrote on his X post that it's super fun seeing people love images on ChatGPT.
And I also want to mention that his profile picture is
exactly.
a image of himself.
He Ghiblified his profile picture as well, showing how much, how much of a hype this is becoming all over the world. However, on the flip side, the quick spread has gone beyond the point where the original creator can not just sue one person who has violated copyright issues, but it's become millions and millions of users all over the world, so who can also be held accountable. And I think it's unfortunately seeing that technology has evolved faster than the law. But fortunately, work is underway on new legislation to try and balance technological innovation with protecting artists' creative identities. However, as of now, copyright law does not protect styles like the Studio Ghibli style illustrations that we've seen on the screen that everyone is using right now.
Right, so hopefully legislations and protection measures can keep up with the speed of technology.
Yep.
All right, and that was our keyword news for this Wednesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Wednesday means it's time to focus on the latest lifestyle trends shaping the younger generation. Take a look at the screen to find out more. In Korea, office culture has long been rooted in hierarchy, where seniority often outweighed performance. Climbing the corporate ladder meant staying put and waiting your turn. But these days, more Korean companies are switching gears and adopting performance-based promotions and pay raises. So, what's driving this shift? Right, so starting off our show today, Kyun, could you first walk us through some examples of companies that are already moving toward this merit-based system in Korea when determining an employee's promotion or pay raise?
Sure thing. South Korea's internet conglomerate and biggest search engine provider, Naver, has announced plans to introduce a level-based system, or simply performance-based system. So this system, known as a level system, evaluates employee performance regularly, regardless of years of experience and working at the company, and assigns levels that are linked to future compensation. Naver became one of the few big companies to scrap traditional ranks such as assistant manager and manager based on seniority and experience, categorizing employees instead just as either leaders or team members. From the company's perspective, the primary reason for implementing the level system is motivation with the employees. And the idea is that even employees with fewer years of experience can achieve higher levels and receive greater rewards, which in turn is expected to lead to higher productivity within the company.
But once again, this is fairly a new office culture here in Korea when compared to other countries like the United States. So, Grace, could you please explain in detail how traditional office culture in Korea has functioned until now?
Sure. Traditional office culture in Korea is typically hierarchical, with a strong focus on respecting authority and seniority. This culture also values teamwork, harmony among employees, and collective success, rather than one person being the one that outshines everyone else. There's also the aspect of nunchi, which can be described as the ability to read social cues and in between the lines. And this is actually big in all aspects of Korean culture, and also in navigating workplace dynamics. Now, with the implementation of the merit-based system, employees are expected to perform better, to be promoted, or to get a raise, which is different from the traditionally teamwork-focused work culture that many Korean employees are used to. So that might bring on a lot of change in the overall working culture here. A few Korean companies like Coupang, Lotte On, and Kakao are already operating on this system, much like the majority of big tech firms in the US like Google, Amazon, or Apple, just to name a few.
So we're also seeing more companies in Korea adopting this new system.
Right.
But once again, change is never easy, including in the workplace. So I also want to ask our panelists, how are younger employees responding to this shift? What could be some potential benefits and downsides of this new system?
So according to a survey conducted by a recruitment platform, around 18,000 working Korean Gen Zs were asked about the question what they think about performance or merit-based systems being implemented at a company. Let's take a look at the screen to find out more. 72% of the respondents gave a positive answer, while 28% were against this idea. And among those in favor, 43% said they expect the introduction of the level system to lead to fair performance-based evaluations. Another 41% cited rapid promotion regardless of seniority, followed by the creation of a more horizontal organizational culture at 11%, and a greater career visibility at 5%. Furthermore, Korea has a long history of having a culture that emphasizes age and seniority, like Grace mentioned, where younger or less experienced employees often find it difficult to speak up in front of their seniors, and therefore communication can be very slow and rigid, illustrating a top-down organizational, conventional, traditional structure. And the introduction of this performance-based system could help overcome these obstacles and limitations and create an open environment for, I guess, younger, talented, hard-working employees to be rewarded fairly just based purely on their performance rather than how long they've actually worked at a single company.
So some people might think this system is more fair.
In some aspects.
In some
aspects.
Right, which could be the reason why more than a majority of the respondents of the poll that Kyun just mentioned were for introducing this performance-based system. But we're now going to focus on breaking down what the 28% of this poll thinks. So Grace, could you help us break down their main arguments?
Yeah, we can see that those who were against this merit-based model cited intensifying internal competition, the overemphasis on short-term achievements, unclear evaluation criteria for employees, and the undermining of creativity and cooperation as the reasons behind their opinion. And some are concerned that too much competition at the workplace can negatively impact morale among employees that aren't really built for such intense pressure. And it's also worth mentioning that aside from the tangible performance measures, there are other more mundane and administrative tasks that are just as important to keep a company running than performance alone. In fact, amid such concerns, Naver's labor union had previously called for ways to strengthen the capabilities of their employees through training measures rather than enforcing this new merit-based system. Also, South Korean airline Air Premia, which which was one of the first companies to consider this system, actually ended up foregoing it because it determined that the evaluation criteria for employees were not clear.
Right. And I think that this is especially true because performance, if you're trying to evaluate it, it's sometimes really hard to exactly measure who was better in terms of performance.
Right.
And also, even if we could, it could really lead to a more competitive workforce. And already we're struggling with a very competitive atmosphere here in South Korea. So we've now taken a look at both sides, what both sides are arguing. We also asked what our viewers think by running a poll on our Arirang YouTube channel. And the question was, how should companies approach employment pay? And 76% chose performance-based pay, while 24% chose experience-based pay. So this kind of aligns with the data that Ki-hoon mentioned earlier. Now, to dive deeper into this trend, we're going to invite an HR specialist to our talks after the break. Stay with us.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang.News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
And joining us today is Sarah Park, Head of Korea HR at GP, a global job search and recruitment platform. Welcome back to the show, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Sarah, could you first break down how this performance-based evaluation systems usually work in practice? How do companies that use this approach actually measure and assess employee performance?
Sure. In practice, performance-based evaluation systems revolve around predefined objectives and measurable KPIs, which are key performance indicators. It's not just about effort or loyalty, which traditionally held weight in Korean companies, but about tangible outcomes. Companies set quarterly or annually goals for individuals or teams and track progress through data and conduct regular interviews. Globally, this often includes 360-degree feedback, while in Korea, we're seeing a shift towards more transparent, data-driven reviews. Well, this is still tempered through hierarchy and that Korean-style team harmony considerations. The key challenge is really balancing hard metrics with qualitative factors and collaboration and innovation.
Sarah, what are some potential upsides and drawbacks of this kind of system for both employees and employers? It would be great to hear your thoughts from both perspectives, if possible.
Of course. From the employee side, the upside is clarity. You know what's expected, and high performers are more likely to be rewarded. It can be very motivating, especially for younger professionals who value fairness and meritocracy. But the downside is that it can foster unhealthy competition or burnout, especially in cultures like Korea's, where group harmony and base saving are really important. For employers, it can boost productivity and accountability, which is obviously very good. But if it's implemented too rigidly, it can really backfire. Employees might focus on what's measured and ignore what's not, like creativity, long-term thinking, which are obviously essential for all companies. The real art lies in designing a system that drives performance and also sustains morale and culture.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you think this model will catch on more broadly across different industries going beyond just the tech world?
Absolutely, but with nuance. Globally, performance-based systems are already the norm in tech, finance, and sales-driven sectors. In Korea, there's growing momentum, obviously amongst younger, more globally minded companies and startups. Even large, more robust conglomerates are experimenting, albeit more cautiously, like what Air Premia did. But one size does not fit all. Industries like education, healthcare, or creative fields need hybrid models, ones that recognize both output and process. And Korea's work culture is evolving fast, especially post-pandemic. So I think we'll see more of a tailored, culturally sensitive approaches to performance evaluation, one that blend that flow and harmony with emotional intelligence that Korean teams really value.
All right, Sarah Park, Head of Korea HR at GP. Thank you so much for your insights today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, ending off our discussion today, this merit-based evaluation system is slowly becoming the new norm, not only in other parts of the world, but here in Korea. And while some people are feeling positive about it, there are also some concerns, as we talked about it on the top of our show. So, how do you think companies and both workers can better prepare and embrace for this change?
So competition can be good and useful when utilized in a controlled manner.
Right.
Companies and workers are all stakeholders, therefore need to be respected and listened to while being responsible for their actions at the same time. So when a new policy is implemented, like a change in performance-based from the traditional experience-based system, I think the majority of the stakeholders need to approve it first, then come up with a clear and fair evaluation standards and measures along with quick response to both internal and external changes. And finally, backed with sufficient research data and success examples from other companies for it to be a very successful organizational change.
Right.
And like you said, change does take a long time, but if we're heading in the right direction, these few adjustments is required. But I think it may have worked in the tech industry, but it doesn't really apply to every single industry right now. So
Right.
I think slow actions need to be taken for it to be like a long-term success.
So going through trial and error and also being responsive to feedback
Right.
from both sides. What do you think, Grace?
Yeah, I feel like as a society, there should always be like a safety net for people who are falling behind. And companies that are implementing this merit-based system should also have backup measures to support their employees that aren't as good as competitors as others, because working in an organization is not like a solo sport at
Right,
the Olympics. While a certain level of competition is healthy, like Hyun mentioned, in this capitalist world we live in, I believe that corporations who foster teamwork and create a sense of shared purpose among its employees can ultimately achieve more in the long term.
Right, because although individual performance does matter, at the end of the day, we're all under one roof. And that's all we have for today, but Newsden will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks to Park Hyun.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. And Grace Park.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for staying with us, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are News
News
Generation.